Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Dan the Finance Man. Today I'm breaking down 4 key ways to make use of the tax system to boost your wealth before the 5th of April. This is your last chance to take advantage of tax efficient opportunities before the new tax year begins. I'll be giving you my list of actions in order of priority for maximum return on investment. So listen, take action before the 5th of April and don't let these slip away. Just before we start, I need to stress, this is not personal financial advice. Everyone's situation may be different and not all of the following may be best for your plans. If you're unsure about anything, speak to a professional before making any decisions. Alright, let's get started. So, first up, the state pension. I've banged on about this for a while now and you can find a video solely on this on my channel. But we're approaching a big deadline with this, and it's a massive one that so many people overlook. If for any reason you have years in your career where you didn't make national insurance contributions, you may be at risk of not receiving a state pension or at least a reduced one. Right now you can backdate voluntary national insurance contributions, or NICs, all the way back to 2006, but from April 2025 you'll only be able to go back 6 years. That's a huge deal if you've had gaps in your record. If you took time off work, moved abroad, just missed some payments, checking your national insurance contributions record is a must, and here's why. If you are eligible to pay Class 2 NICs, usually for people with periods of time working overseas, they cost around £180 per year, but this gives you an extra £328 per year in state pension, which is a 3,200% return on your investment if you live to 85. If living in the UK, it's much more likely you're only eligible to pay the Class 3 rates, which is around £850 to £920 per year, but that still gives you that same £328, so it's not quite 3,200%, but it is 642% over a typical retirement period. So the moral of the story, if you've got missing years, top them up to make sure you get to 35 years before the deadline. It's one of the best returns on investment you will ever get. Next up on the list is private pensions. Easily one of the best ways to save for retirement in the UK while paying less tax. So when it comes to maximising private pension contributions, how and why you should do it, if your employer offers a pension match, always contribute enough to get the full match. It's free money and an instant return on investment. This could be anything, maybe 50p for every £1 you contribute, or £3 for every £1 you contribute. So check your contract today to see what your employer match rules are and make sure you are maximising it. Don't leave that money on the table. The next reason for private pension contributions, and a lot of the time people don't quite realise just how good this can be, is if you are a basic rate taxpayer paying 20%, you get a 25% boost on what you put in. If you're a higher rate taxpayer paying 40%, you get a 67% boost. And if you're an additional rate taxpayer, you get an 82% boost. And because pension contributions reduce your adjusted net income, which determines the level at which you lose your personal allowance or lose your child benefit, if you earn between £100,000 and £120,140, pension contributions can restore your personal allowance. So effectively, that gives you a 150% return on what you put in. And an extra bonus tip, if you haven't maxed out your pension contributions in the past, you may be able to use any unused allowances from the previous 3 tax years. It's a huge opportunity to make up for lost time. Next up, still part of pension contributions, is salary sacrifice. It's a hidden tax hack. Instead of taking your salary in cash, ask your employer to pay it straight into your pension before any tax and NI are applied. This way, you're saving on employee national insurance of 2 to 8%, but also your employer's saving on employer national insurance. And given that it's increasing to 15% in April 2025, this is a huge opportunity for both employees and employers going forward. Ask your employer to share the savings with you. So some companies will pass on some of their NI savings back to you as an extra sort of pension contribution. For instance, if they're getting 15% saving on any additional amount that you pay directly into your pension through salary sacrifice, ask them to split that saving with you. So ask them to pay an extra 7.5% into your pension. It's always worth asking, and definitely something I would be exploring with my staff if I was a large-scale business owner, to mitigate the new, more penal rates of employer NI that Rachel Reeves has brought in. So that's definitely one everyone should be considering. Next up is ISAs. They are one of the simplest tax-free investment options in the UK, but many people don't use them properly. There's a cash ISA, which is perfect for your emergency fund, offering tax-free interest with easy access and no risk of capital reduction. But there's also a stocks and shares ISA, which is ideal for long-term investing in tax-free growth. The key thing to remember is your ISA allowance is £20,000 per year, and it's a use it or lose it situation. If you don't max it out before April 5th, you lose that allowance forever. So make sure you're maxing it out. If you have an early retirement strategy and want to retire before you can access your pension, which is currently 55 but rising to 57 in 2028, a stocks and shares ISA can be a great way to build a tax-free investment pot you can access any time in order to bridge the gap between actual retirement and the date you can access your pension funds. So always look at that ISA. And another tax hack for you if you've maxed out your ISA allowance is, if you're going to open a general investment account for more investments, always use your spouse's allowances as well, because you get a £3,000 capital gains tax allowance every year. So if you have a joint account, that's combined to £6,000 of capital gains each year. The next area I wanted to focus on isn't so much aimed at you, but more so your children. And you can really help them when they're starting out in their career. And it can also help you to sleep peacefully in the knowledge that you've protected them for their retirement later down the line when maybe you're not around. So if you've got kids, you can set them up for the future with tax-free investment accounts. Firstly, you can contribute to a junior ISA. You can put in up to £9,000 per year per child, and it grows tax-free until they're 18, at which point the money can be used for anything. Maybe that's a first car, maybe it's education costs, or just a year out to find themselves and travel the world. So for the more long term and to protect them in later life, you can contribute to what we call a junior SIP. You can contribute up to £2,880 per year, and the government will top that up to £3,600. So it's a pension. A junior SIP gives them an early start on retirement, and thanks to compound interest, even small contributions now could turn into a huge sum by the time they retire. There was a study that suggested starting to contribute to a pension or investing in your 20s could be worth over £80 for every £1 invested by the time you reach a retirement age of 65. In your 30s, that drops to around £50 for each £1. But based on this, can you imagine what that number would be if you started at birth? It would likely be life-changing for them. If you want to build generational wealth for your family, these are fantastic long-term strategies that you should be speaking with your financial advisor about. And if you don't have a financial advisor, reach out on LinkedIn or whatever method you deem necessary. So to conclude, before April 5th, make sure you check and pay any voluntary national insurance contributions to fill gaps in your state pension record. Maximise your private pension contributions and use carry forward allowances if you have them from previous years. Use salary sacrifice to save on tax and NI while boosting your pension. Use your full £20,000 ISA allowance before it resets. Remember to use it or lose it. Invest in junior ISAs if you have children and SIPs to set your kids up for a solid financial future. And that's it. If this video was helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss my next video. And if you've got any questions, drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. But for now, that's all. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye-bye.